Hey guys, this is Jason, and today I'm reviewing Ghosted, a new Apple TV Plus movie directed by Dexter Fletcher, the director of Eddie the Eagle and Rocketman, and also stars Chris Evans and Ana De Armas in their third film together after Knives Out and The Gray Man. And Adrian Brody is also in this movie, surprisingly. In this film, Cole Turner, played by Evans, falls in love with a pretty girl named Sadie Rhodes, played by De Armas, and after their first date together and the special moment that they had, she ghosts him. He starts trying to leave her texts, and for some reason, she is not responding to him because she ghosted him. And then he finds out that she's been in London the entire time, so he decides to go to London and find her, but then soon realizes that she is a secret agent trying to find a certain object and save the world. And that gets him stuck in a pretty bad situation where he has to help her do all of this stuff. Also, just want to give you guys a heads up, I can see that most people have already given me like a bunch of views for some of my videos. Like my review for RRR last year got over 7,000 views, and my review for Megan also got over 2,000 views. But I can see that most of those people aren't subscribed to my channel yet, so if you are some of those people, then please hit the like and subscribe button down below. It really helps my channel grow. So when I watched the first trailer for this movie, I was thinking, okay, this looks like it'll be a fun little romance movie. I mean, I do like both Chris Evans and Ana De Armas. I think they're both really talented actors. And I wanted to see this movie for myself to see if this movie's just okay or not. I wasn't expecting a lot from it. I was just thinking maybe it would just be enjoyable. And now that I've seen this movie, oh boy, this is gonna be rough. Throughout this year, I have not reviewed a movie that's bad yet, or at least considered to be one of the worst movies that I've seen. I mean, I've reviewed some mediocre movies and some good movies and some great movies like John Wick Chapter 4, but I haven't reviewed a terrible movie from this year yet, until now when I watched Ghosted. This film is one of the most insufferable movies I have seen in a while. I mean, maybe there are worse cases, but this is pretty much one of the worst ones ever made. Like, there is so much stuff for me to talk about that's not good. Maybe there are a couple of moments here that I thought was okay, which I'll get into more of that later, but I just want to get all the bad stuff out of the way first. The story isn't interesting or fun. It's really just a mix of action and comedy and romance, and they just don't mix well here. They just really don't blend well. They just make the film feel messy and at times boring, especially when it has to focus on Evans and De Armas trying to get away from Adrian Brody's goons. And don't get me wrong, both Evans and De Armas are very talented actors, and they're both fine in the movie acting wise. It's just their characters that are the problem. They just constantly bicker and argue throughout the film while they're trying to escape Brody and his goons. And that's all they do. They just bicker and argue throughout the majority of the film, and there's no chemistry with them. There is no spark in the relationship at all, and it makes it hard for us, the audience members, to care about what's happening on screen. And they're very unlikable even when they're not together. I mean, again, acting wise, both Evans and De Armas are fine in the film. It's just the material they were given was the problem. Like, Evans is supposed to be in love with this girl, and we're supposed to like him throughout the film for some reason, because the majority of the film he is trying to get back with her after their first and only date they had together, but he really says and does some things that make him look like a creep. Like, for one, after their special moment together, he takes a picture of both him and her in bed while she's sleeping. How romantic is that? That is not creepy at all. Yes, it's very creepy. Like, really creepy. how am I supposed to like this guy if he's gonna show some major creep factor throughout the film? And De Armas's character is kind of obnoxious, like she gets annoyed whenever Evans is trying to tell her how much he's in love with her, and she gets annoyed when that happens. And without giving anything away, if you're actually curious about watching this film, there's a moment that happens halfway through the film that is supposed to be a certain choice that she does for Evans, but it really doesn't make her a likable character at all. It just makes her kind of a backstabber to him. Like, I really don't care about these two characters at all. They just say and do things that just make them not good characters. The humor in this film also really falls flat. Like, there's not one part in the humor that made me laugh whatsoever, especially some of the dialogue that's supposed to be funny just didn't work for me. Like, there's this one character in the beginning of the film, a flower lady that's selling flowers. She decides to go have a break and smoke weed because that line is supposed to be funny. Like, yeah, just go for a weed break during the job. That's a very smart thing to do. And this movie also uses some very, very unnecessary cameos from big celebrities for some reason. Like, why are there so many big actors giving cameos in this film? I have no idea. This movie doesn't even bother to answer. Like, the way I see it, it feels like they're just there for comedy's sake, and it just didn't work. It just felt unnecessary. Despite the fact that I do think Adrian Brody is a good actor, his villain, however, is not very interesting at all. He's really just a cardboard cutout villain that really doesn't have anything intriguing about him whatsoever, and he doesn't really do much until the third act. Like, throughout most of the film, he just lets his goons do all the rest of the dirty work for him. The action sequences in the film really aren't remarkable at all. Like, sometimes they would just use like slow motion for the action scenes, which would also lead to some unintentionally funny moments, as well as a few quick cut editing that made it hard to see what was happening, other than just one fight scene I actually thought was okay. And it takes place on a plane where De Armas is taking down a bunch of these goons while Evans is trying to think of an idea to get off the plane. And De Armas actually does her own stunts, and you can kind of see it in most of her fight scenes, and that was pretty impressive. The big finale is also very over the top, and not a lot of remarkable action scenes in this finale as well. It's just got that weird editing, and it also plays like a random pop song in this scene. Like, I think they play the Don't Believe Me, Just Watch song. Like, that's something that I've also got to mention for the rest of the action sequences. They just also use like random pop songs that are supposed to give the audience a fun time, but it really came off as distracting. Another thing about this finale is that there are certain deaths that happen in the film. Most of them aren't the big characters, but there are some deaths that happen, but you don't really see those deaths on screen. They just cut to someone's reaction to those, and you really don't get much of the idea. Like, I get that this movie's PG-13 instead of R, but if you're gonna do those certain deaths in a PG-13 film, you can still get away with that. At least, like, add a little bit of, like, blood on, like, a wall or a floor to give us the idea of that death. You can still get away with that in PG-13. Ghosted is a pretty bad romance, comedy, and action film. Sure, it has some decent performances from Evans and De Armas and a couple of okay action sequences, but it still doesn't save it from mostly lackluster action sequences, a weak story, a boring villain, and weak humor that never lands at all, and two unlikable leads that are either creepy or just annoying. If you have Apple TV Plus, then don't watch this movie. It's not worth your time. There are better action comedy movies out there, and there are certainly better romantic comedy action movies out there, but this, unfortunately, is not one of them. I'm gonna give Ghosted a D+. So guys, if you have seen this movie, what did you think about it? Did you think it was a fun movie and thought I was being too harsh on it? Or do you agree with me and say that it's one of the worst movies that you've seen so far this year? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like this review, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing. Like, please hit that subscribe button. I know most of you guys watch my channel, but if you haven't subscribed yet, please click on the bottom screen. That's where the subscribe button is. Please click on that. It helps my channel grow. Please do that. And as always, if you like this review, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.